With the world rushing to the SUV for its transport needs, it's nice to see a vehicle that bucks the trend a little. Ford's Everest is just such a thing. It offers up the desirable high riding position with the look of an SUV, but it remains a proper off-road vehicle. As a family daily driver and weekend getaway vehicle, they don't come much more accomplished. The Everest landed here in 2015, so the first of them, and now coming off novated leases and hitting the market. The other piece of nice news is that the Everest is actually an Australian design. Yes, it's built in Thailand, but the design and engineering work was all done right here, alongside the Everest's close cousin, the Ford Ranger utility. Essentially, the Everest is a Ranger with a coil-sprung rear end for improved ride comfort. It doesn't need the leaf-sprung payload of a Ute and a station wagon body. But it's also different enough in its interior and general presentation that it doesn't look like a Ranger with a canopy the way that some of its competitors can. Beneath the wagon skin, though, there is quite a bit of commonality between the Everest and the Ranger, starting with the driveline. The 5-cylinder, 3.2-litre turbo diesel engine remains, and with it the purposeful 143 kilowatts of power and meaty 470 newton-meters of torque. The Ranger's 6-speed automatic gearbox is another inclusion, as well as the basics of front suspension setup. What sets the Everest apart for many of its peers are its off-road credentials. Instead of relying on electronics and a slipping torque converter to give it some bush ability, the Everest gets an old-school transfer case setup complete with proper low-ratio gears for climbing up cliffs and through bogs. It's controlled by Ford's terrain management rotary dial with settings for a variety of off-road conditions. The Everest further pushes its off-road smarts by having an electronically locking rear differential for when the going gets particularly heavy. And it all works. Even on steep, rough and rutted ground, you can feel the electronics in there offering a helping hand, while the basic suitability of the hardware is also noticeable. This is a family SUV that really will go where the adverts suggest. As a family wagon, the Everest stacks up well, too. It has space for 7 back sides, although the third row is best for smaller folk rather than adults. But there are thoughtful inclusions, too, like 8 curtain airbags that protect all 3 rows of seats, charge points for all 3 rows, and even air conditioning vents that reach all seating positions. On road, the Everest is a reasonably tidy handler and, with all but torque, is a relaxed performer. Which is not to say it's a fast car by any stretch of the imagination. The combination of the way the turbo diesel makes its power and the car's huge 2,400 kilograms plus curb mass means it's not a sprinter. But it will cover big distances in a day, and despite all that weight, it recorded an official combined fuel consumption figure of 8.5 liters, which is pretty good for any kind of 7-seater. Late in 2016, Ford delivered a cost-down version of the Everest which lost the all-wheel drive capacity to arrive as a rear-drive version of pretty much the same package. The lower purchase price was attractive at the time, but for our money, having an Everest that can reach hard to get at places is well worth the extra money a used E will command. Perhaps the biggest potential hassle with Everest ownership, and it's not a huge one, is the need to keep an eye on the AdBlue level. AdBlue is a urea-based fluid which is injected into the Everest's exhaust system to chemically react with the engine's exhaust emissions and change them to less harmful compounds. The AdBlue tank filler is located next to the main fuel filler neck and, depending on how the vehicle is driven, should only need to be topped up every 15,000 kilometers or so. Catch is that the Everest needed AdBlue to pass the relevant Euro 5 emissions targets, so, for legal reasons, there's an interlock which won't allow the car to start if there's no AdBlue in the tank. The problem with that is that some Everest owners have reported false readings on the dashboard readout that alert the driver to the contents of the AdBlue tank. Ford dealers have a recalibration for this warning system that apparently fixes the false reading problem. Other owners have reported that the shift from 5th to 6th in the automatic transmission sometimes takes place with a distinct thump. Again, Ford dealers have recognized the problem and, once again, there's a recalibration of the onboard computer that works as a fix and softens the shift action. On the recall front, the Everest was recalled once to check the side airbags, which may have been fitted with the incorrect inflation chemicals and may not have deployed in the event of a crash. Some mechanics we talked to remain unconvinced of the merits of the latest common rail diesel technology that the Everest, and all its current model peers, subscribe to. It's a broad statement, but common rail engines of this type seem to be pretty hard on injectors, requiring them to be replaced sometimes in as few as 70,000 kilometers. At something like $1,000 a piece, this is not a cheap process either, and while the Ranger doesn't seem to be the main offender, it's worth remembering when budgeting for potential maintenance costs down the track. It's also worth keeping in mind that some early Everests now hitting the used car market will be getting pretty close to this mileage. It goes without saying, of course, that the Everest to buy second-hand is the one that has never been taken off-road. That will be the majority of them, to be honest, but it's still worth a close check underneath for damage and evidence of hard use. Our rating: 4/5 nuts and bolts engine per second, 3.2-liter, 5CYL turbo diesel transmissions, 6 auto fuel economy, combined, 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Safety rating, courtesy of www.howsafeisyourcar.com.au, 5 stars. Likes, family friendly and well thought out. A proper off-roader. Good comfort. Lacks the compromises of many of its peers. Dislikes, expensive new, and relatively so now. A few visual links to the Ranger Ute on which it's based. Rear seat for little folk only. Watch for abused examples. Competitors: Toyota, Fortuner, very similar concept with Toyota Hilux heart and lungs and a station wagon body plonked on top. Lacks a bit of kit for the price, but bank on it being good in the bush. 3.5 Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, with Triton underpinnings and a coil-sprung rear end. The Pajero Sport falls right into the same category of vehicle. Body is tall and narrow and looks a bit odd from some angles. Interior lacks space compared with others. 3/5 Ford Everest 2WD. The Everest without the all-wheel drive hardware. It was cheaper to buy new and will be cheaper now, but while it retains all the user-friendliness, we reckon the off-road ability is worth the extra. 3/5 What to pay, courtesy of Glasses Guide, model year new now Ambiente 2015 $54,990, $37,200, Trend 2015 $60,990, $38,200, Titanium 2015 $76,990, $53,100, Ambiente 2016 $54,990, $40,000. Trend 2016 $60,990, $41,200, Titanium 2016 $76,705, $56,500, Ambiente 2017 $53,990, $41,600, Trend 2017 $58,990, $45,900, Titanium 2017 $74,701, $58,200.